The National Assembly is primarily the representative of their various constituencies and the Nigerian people and of course government. Members of the National Assembly are expected to promote the people's welfare, uphold constitutional rights and ensure prudent spending of our scarce resources and hold the executive accountable and of course ready to account for their actions. It is a new dawn of a new administration, and on Tuesday, the 13th of June 2023, Nigeria witnessed the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly. With the emergence of a new leadership, Nigerians are full of high expectations, and Saturday Discourse today will be looking at the composition of the 10th Assembly and try to set agenda for the legislators. A very good evening and thank you for joining us on today's edition of Saturday Discourse, Unity Station, NTA Channel 5, Abuja. My name is Tessie Omeri. You're welcome. Before our discussion, let's begin with some stories. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says it greatly welcomes the authorities' decision to introduce a unified market-reflective exchange rate regime. This, it said, is in line with the fund's long-lasting recommendations. The IMF, in a statement, affirmed it stands ready to support the new administration in its implementation of forex reforms. Meanwhile, economic experts have applauded the prompt intervention of the federal government in unifying the series of multiple exchange rate windows, which they said aided dishonest practices in the forex market. Serafina Okonomekwe has details.
With the unification of exchange rates, forex market experts say the economy is expected to witness transparent commercial activities, even at the parallel market, and will aid diaspora remittances. Hence, the former channel is functionally effective.
For us to get this foreign exchange, we need to export. We will need to have goods to sell. Unfortunately, the major good that we have to sell is crude oil. So our agricultural exports, our manufacturing, they are not yet getting exposed substantially to increase it. And it is the amount of export process you have that will influence the value of your naira.
On the likely impacts the unified rate and subsidy removal, they noted that subsidy had cost the country trillions of naira. For instance, between January to June, Nigeria had budgeted 3.36 trillion naira.
So that's huge. And if we run subsidy to the end of 2023, we are likely to get as high as 7 trillion. Imagine what 7 trillion could do in education, in health, and other critical sectors. So I think it's time we got rid of fuel subsidy. But my position on it is, again, how should we do that? Just as we also, the case of unifying exchange rate.
Dangote is here now. The government refineries are expected to come on stream. So by the time all these are on stream, all that substantial foreign exchange we are wasting on importing fuel will now be available for manufacturing and other businesses that genuinely need them and that will impact our economy.
Exporters, because of the differential, had before now refused to remit monies. And experts are hoping that with the unified exchange rates, foreign reserves will increase. Serafina Okonomekwe, NTA News.
The Abuja Municipal Area Council Task Force on Revenue Monitoring and Enforcement has raided popular Area 11 traffic junction in Abuja, the nation's capital, and dislodged 10 suspected illegal revenue collectors who have turned the area into a tax collection center. The enforcement exercise led by the task force team chairman, Amadu Yunusa Yusuf, comprised of Nigerian police, DSS, and paramilitary agencies that stormed the area and apprehended the illegal tax collection personnel. The task force chairman observed that the suspected illegal tax collectors On sighting, the AMAC task force officials took to their heels, abandoning their materials, packets of marijuana and other dangerous substances found in their custody. Also, part of the items recovered from them include big and small bags of mobile advertisement permits, illegal receipts, papers and tablets. Comrade Yunusas Adamu Yusuf, however, warned those parading themselves as fake AMAC staff to desist, as his promise to sustain the exercise until AMAC is totally free of this nefarious act, which has led to double taxation in the FCT. The fake AMAC revenue collectors have been arraigned before the mobile court for prosecution. And a group of Nigerian women have reiterated their desire to play active part in nation building. The women who converge on Abuja also discussed the place of Nigerian women in politics. When Dogo reports that they express the belief as they can play vital roles if given the opportunity.
The event, which is tagged "The Power of Hope Again for Nigerian Women in Politics," seeks to tackle the issues that confront their involvement in politics. The convener, Dr. Dayo Benjamin Slani, emphasized things that would foster the growth and success of Nigerian women in their quest to contribute their quota to the development and growth of the country.
Bring together that which is the applause of our voices of affirmative validation, not just for government, but for governance, and the power of our dreams as Nigerian women in politics and in Nigerian political space. We have hope again, and by the power of hope again, we also have a mentor, Her Excellency the First Lady, Her Excellency the distinguished Senator Oluremi Tinubu, as a parliamentarian for the first time in history in the seat and in the office of First Lady. We have expectations that without question shall bring the manifestation of not just that which is parliamentarian, but for every woman in every community, the policy and the law of her distinction.
The event had in attendance dignitaries who are active in Nigeria's political space. In Abuja, Wayne Dogo, NTA News.
As Nigerians witnessed the successful inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, many are eagerly looking forward to what the new government will bring to the table, working with a robust legislative arm. Ifeoma Ojinta spoke to a cross-section of FCT residents on their expectations from the 10th Assembly.
May 29, 2023 saw Nigeria consolidate on her democratic journey since 1999, with many hopeful of a better Nigeria, which will be driven by a legislature that will ensure that good governance is delivered to the people.
You know, we have a lot of achievement from the 9th Assembly. Many bills have been passed through, and especially second tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari, a lot of support from the Speaker, House of Representatives Femi, and also Lawal. You know, to some extent, they are able to make him to achieve some of his programs and also what he planned. So we are expecting more of that and more of that relationship with executive this time around.
All I am asking for in the 10th Assembly is a consideration of the next generation that will make the 75 million or so young Nigerians be fully included in how this country will run.
Many describe the legislature as an important arm of government and an assembly of the representative of the people. With the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, Nigerians expect members of the National Assembly to be alive to their obligations to the people of Nigeria, as well as hold the executive accountable.
This assembly is not a complete set like we do, where we have the ruling party is the majority, the opposition now put together are the majority. So I would expect diverse views, which means they cannot be influenced by the ruling party when it comes to certain decisions or policy making. So I expect good governance, I expect more economic growth.
Be more harmony, because sometimes you get different views, different body language, different perspectives. So they should find a way to harmonize their submissions. That way, even the executive will be able to sit up. Because when in one hand the Senate is approving submissions from the executive and the reps are not in tandem with the Senate, there's this rancor.
Others have called on the lawmakers not to condone domination by the alleged wealth-seeking power cabals, as this they say is the surest way of killing the government of the ballots. Ifeoma Ojinta, NTA News.
Many thanks, Ifeoma, for that background report, which will set the tone for our discussion this evening on Saturday Discourse, as we're looking at the composition of the 10th National Assembly. And I have with me in the studio a politician and a public affairs analyst, Honorable Adewale Adeogun. You're welcome to Saturday Discourse.
Thank you for having me.
Our
Good
pleasure.
evening, Nigeria.
Thank you. So now tell us, what's your take on the composition of the 10th National Assembly?
I think so far so good. It was a perfect match.
Okay.
And I think it marked the expectation of many Nigerians, despite some of the hiccups that followed before, during, and after the composition.
Okay.
I think the 10th National Assembly is good to go. The present executive. Okay,
when you say it's good to go, any surprises in terms of the leadership of both chambers? Are we expecting any surprises? From what you have said, it's a perfect match. So when you say perfect match, in what sense?
That's what I mean is that, you see, the tenant is that the leadership of the National Assembly, as it was, is supposed to be from the ruling party, which is the All Progressive Congress.
APC.
I can see the discipline in the party have actually come to play, because the party really made their choice and they stood by it. Even the presidency, though the president didn't say anything, but we discovered that the body language of the president actually went along with that of the party, the political party.
Okay.
Like I said, despite what happened before, during, and after the election of the leadership of the assembly, Nigerian and most particularly the party is better for it, because there will be discipline in the party.
So why is there so much expectations, from Nigerians on this 10th National Assembly? So much. What should Nigerians, be looking out for?
Yes, the expectation of Nigerian is born out of the fact that the present president, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a lot is expected of him because of what he promised Nigeria, a renewed hope. And we believe that this is the first time we are having a Democrat as a Nigerian president. And if we have seen the body language of the president within the first 2 weeks of his of the presidency, he has made some marks that probably some Nigerians do not even expect. So every Nigerian should also expect that we should be having a robust National Assembly that will probably align, not necessarily being a rubber stamp to the presidency, but looking at the overall best interest of Nigeria in coming out with policy, programs, and activities that will put Nigeria in that global perspective of what we have expected.
We are hopeful. Okay, now looking at oversight function, how critical it is to development. How effectively do you think this can be carried out during this 10th Assembly?
Yes, I feel happy and I feel proud to be a Nigerian. Number one, a lot has been said about the relationship between the National Assembly, probably of the 8th and 9th Assembly, where the legislature will invite members of the executive, and probably they will refuse to honor them. I'm sure this will not be one of such, because if you look at the composition of this National Assembly, a few of them returned to the Assembly. So we're having majority of them that are coming from a new beginning, Okay. And I'm sure they must have been seeing what has been happening before. So they are coming with their own robust idea. And I feel, not missing words, I'm very sure that when the president composes his cabinet, they are going to be people who will not only respect the law of the land, but also respect the tenet of democracy, which is not the executive, the legislator, and then probably the judiciary. And that's, like I said, Nigeria will be better for it.
Okay, now looking at what the 9th Assembly was able to achieve, what do you think the 10th Assembly should do to improve upon what we had during the 9th Assembly?
We've seen some couple of flashes from this president, and I feel the National Assembly should support him, number one. A lot of, I can say, will I call it illegal activities or fraudulent activities happened. Look at the 2 suspended officials, highly placed officials of the last government, of the last administration. The governor of the central bank. I'm sure on several occasions he has been invited, which he didn't honor. At several occasions, I think he has been invited by the Discourse region, which he didn't honor. Look at the chairman of the Economic Committee, the EFCC. These are critical aspects of Nigeria. And I feel this assembly, let me take for example, our current Senate president was a member of the last cabinet.
Yes.
And you saw what he did. In fact, that was exactly one of the reasons why some of the leading figures never wanted him back. Because according to them, he faced them squarely while he was a member of the executive, while they were performing their function, oversight function. And he told them 1 or 2 things that were not wrong, right, as per why they were coming or where they are coming from. So I see this to be not only a very fierce National Assembly leadership, but a leadership that will be working not only in tandem with the executive, but also aspiration and inspiration of Nigeria. We met because I believe the oversight function of every department will be critically looked into. And I'm sure with the disposition and the body language of the president, Nigeria is good to go.
I like that word, good to go. And we're hoping for better days, always. So now, what are, your final thoughts on how the lawmakers can truly represent Nigerians?
Yes, the difference between the legislature and the executive is that they are elected, not selected. They are elected to make laws that will bring about the robust and good standard of living to Nigeria in every aspect. I don't have to start mentioning aspects of Nigerian life now that have not been going right. Is it power? Is it health? Is it education? And I'm sure by the time these people compose, there are still going to be composition of other members of the principal officers.
Subcommittees and the rest.
And principal officers, apart from principal officer, there will be members and chairmen of critical committees. I'm very sure these people will be coming up with robust human resources managers among them who are going to mind this. And I believe they will be working with those that will be in the executive arm of government, that is the minister and the special advisor, to give Nigeria what we want. But what I believe that with what we saw at the floor of the assembly on the day of the inauguration, I am very sure.
We are good to go.
We are good to go.
Just like you said, we are good to go. Thank you so much. Maybe finally your advice to FT residents and by extension Nigerians. Just a few words before we wrap up.
Nigerians do not have anything to fear. Number one, the current president of Nigeria is a unified Nigeria. A Nigerian who wants to rule over a united Nigeria. And like I've always been saying, no Nigerian sector or section should feel threatened by Asiwaju presidency. Because we know what he did while he was a governor. We know what he did even while it was outside the government from 2027 or
And we're hoping that he
2027.
will
And we're sure that
replicate
we're going
same.
to replicate, because most of the people that have been bringing forward have been achieving their aims and aspirations, and have been doing one or two things to have laid the suffering and the fears of Nigeria.
And we hope for better days. I say that again. Thank you so much, Honorable Adewale Adeogun, for coming to our studio tonight on Saturday Discourse. We thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
It's my pleasure.
Same here.
It's my pleasure.
And that's it on the discussion segment. We now go on a short break. The program continues after this time out.
Take it from me, the mind-blowing way to do things is the Glow LTE advanced way. When you stream, it's like you're in the drama itself. When you make calls, you reach where others can't. Fluffy! Doing business is like running Wall Street from your street. And when you play,
I did beat the guy. We'll see about that.
It's like traveling the world without moving an inch.
Is that Toby in your room?
You can download in the blink of an eye in 4K.
Go, go.
And when you go for your dreams, it's like running with the strength of 3 nations behind you.
Glow LTE Advanced, the power of 3 data networks in one. Get a Glow SIM or dial *301#.
Niger, the Global Strengthening Families Conference is here once again. Join the Strengthening Families Conference Abuja 2023 happening at the Abuja International Conference Center from the 21st to the 22nd of June 2023 with the theme Strengthening Marriages. This conference will be both virtual and in person, so visit www.strengtheningfamily.org to register and participate. Remember, registration is free.
Thank you for staying tuned. Now to religious matters. The Sultan, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, has asked Muslim Ummah to look out for the new moon of Zulhijjah on Sunday, the 18th of June, 2023. This is equivalent to the 29th day of Zulqa'dah 1444 after the Hijrah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. A statement signed by Damburan Sokoto Saidu Muhammad Machidu for the Chairman Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, Sultanate Council Sokoto, says the sighting should be reported to the nearest district or village head for onward communication to the Sultan. Nigerians have been urged to respect and obey leaders and people in high authority for the speedy growth of the nation. Archbishop of Abuja, Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama, stated this during a courtesy visit by Knights of St. Mulumba as they mark their 70th anniversary. Rosemary Moltelel Bilal reports.
Knight of St. Mulumba has it aimed of bringing Catholics for the good and progress of the church welfare and for the clergy, in addition to the well-being of members of the order in particular and in Nigeria in general. As part of the activities to mark KSM at 70, the Supreme Executive Board members, led by Charles Imbelede, paid a courtesy visit to Archbishop of Abuja, Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama, who appreciated the organization.
70 years is quite a long time, and that means 70 years of positive contributions to the church, to the spiritual and the pastoral growth of the church. And this we must acknowledge. So we thank whoever God touched in the beginning. Is it Father Jeffwa? Yes. God touched him to found this order. And today the evidence is obvious.
Similarly, the group also visited Victorian Home for Children Gwarimpa and ended the activities with a press conference where Sir Charles Imbelede said the order has remained a forceful voice for the oppressed.
Ours is to contribute our 3 T's, our time, our treasure and talents for the betterment of Nigeria and for betterment of mankind. We stand for one indivisible Nigeria. We fight oppression no matter how hard. And we're the voice of the voiceless. For example, and in particular, we build houses to the indigent widows, contribute to development of the churches, schools, and hospitals.
The Night of St. Mulumba began in Nigeria on the June 14, 1953, and currently has more than 23,000 members in 70 years. Rosemary Montelen Bilal, NTA News.
And now to the world of sports. Ahead of the FCT Football Association election billed to hold this Saturday, Chairman of the FCT FA Electoral Committee, Audu Mohamed Lawal, says the committee is set to conduct free, fair and credible election in line with FIFA, CAF and NFF statutes. Francisca Bile reports that Buhari Area Council in Abuja will host the FCT Football Association election, which was held earlier today.
In a peaceful atmosphere, delegates, observers and electoral officials converged for the day's business, with the electoral umpire assuring of a free, fair and credible process. Thereafter, after due screening of delegates, the election commenced into the respective positions. At the end of the process, Adam Mokhtar Mohammed was re-elected after unopposed, scoring 12 votes out of 12. The first Vice Chairman Saliu Kolo position, though unopposed, remains vacant as he failed to secure the highest yes vote, while John Gabaya was elected unopposed with 12 votes out of 12 as the second Vice Chairman of the FCT-FA.
We ensured that there was no external factor that influenced the process. We hope that with the new board members, football in FCT will go forward.
For the position of 6 board members, 8 contestants slogged it out, and after a keen contest, 6 emerged winners. In an interview after the election, the elected officials said they will join forces with an open-door policy to move football forward, especially grassroots football.
Do hereby declare that I will discharge my responsibilities.
Football is a continuum. But most important, let's not forget, like I always say, we need to keep the human capital development ongoing. The coaches, the referees, the administrators, we need to keep them trained and retrained. And then we need the facilities. So we need to do more in the facilities to see other area councils getting better playing facilities. And then, of course, what is football? We need the players to have the opportunities.
The main aim we are getting on board is football development.
We have a lot in mind.
The elected officials were immediately inaugurated with their certificates of return issued. In Abuja, Francisca Bile, NTA News.
And that's our package tonight. We thank you for sharing your time with us. See you next week for another edition of Saturday Discourse. From all of us, it's good evening.